Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
Hey, everybody, it's Paranormal Karen. You knew it had to happen. You knew it had to happen. My guest is here. By the way, folks, you're listening. This should be November. Should be, unless there's been some sort of a weird wormhole or time accident. We're in November, and so I think a lot of things happened in October. We're there. I'm so excited. Amy Spicer is here, ladies and gentlemen. And I have never met Amy except on a what is that called? Marco Polo thread. But I always hear about Amy Spicer, and Amy did this great thing, and Amy. So I finally saw her, and I was like, you got to be on the podcast. And we already have been laughing for 10 minutes. And she said to me, she said, and a lot of you will get a kick out of this. She said, yeah, we'll just go and edit out whatever you want. And I was like, there's no editing here. You guys know how if there's a mistake, it's in, ladies and gentlemen. And I was laughing about the time I get up in the morning, I get 10 emails because like my producer, because this is how much he enjoys my show. He was listening to music while he was editing. So at one point, everybody's like, why is there a song from U2 halfway through? And it just keeps playing. So, oh my God. So that's where we are, folks. Amy, how are you today?
I am so honored to be talking personally with the one and only karenrontowski. I am the biggest fan.
Oh, thank you. Well, I am definitely the only one. No one else wanted the name of like a child's cartoon, like Paranormal Karen, except me. But you do laugh a lot. I feel like we're both on mushrooms right now. Right?
I can't take mushrooms. I see so much crazy crap in one day. If I was to take mushrooms, I think I would liquefy and just melt into the ground.
See, I think I have a barrier up because I haven't done mushrooms big time. Yeah, I do microdosing, and then I can only take a little. Like I guess that's a sensitive. Is that a sensitive person? Whenever someone says take 1 gram, it means I need a half or something like that. So I'll take it, and then like 6 hours later, I'll be like, the world is so beautiful. I want to be like this all the time. But I want to start with all your abilities because I want to start with, what you see, your, how you feel, what you do as clearings, all kinds of things. So let's start with, give me your background. Were you always this sensitive person? Did someone hit you with a truck and it just happened? What happened there, my darling? Take us to the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Both. I grew up being able to hear other people's minds and be able to, I could see things. But I grew up in a really small town in central Pennsylvania, and it was not like you were just labeled as crazy. And so
not a lot of thoughts there you want to hear, right? Pretty simple thoughts. No one was reinventing the wheel. Okay.
I did. I grew up in an Amish neighborhood. Yeah, like old school. So I thought I was crazy, and I became an addict really, really young. I started and I developed an eating disorder probably around, I don't know, 7 years old. I started to get sick.
Wow.
Yeah. And my eating disorder went to an extreme degree. And then I started using all kinds of drugs at that point to be able to run. Like amphetamines are great drugs to be able to take at 2 a.m. and run 8 miles at 3 a.m. So I became this hardcore stimulant addict. And I did a couple stints in rehab. But it was after rehab when I found yoga, and I don't think yoga turns on magical powers, but it does actually make you start to look at yourself. But my second awakening, because I kind of shut it off in that whole addiction cycle.
Back to the first one, there's a interesting thing about I literally walk or run 4 and 5 times a day. And after I do my, like, that's a weird addiction. And especially now that my yoke is gone, but there is something, and I've always been like this, and I'm 55. So that's a lot on your body. What is it? Cause I always liked the uppers too. I was like, it can never be moving fast enough. Do you have any interpretation on that or anything? Maybe you can help me sit down.
I just feel like our brains, I always have felt like my brain moves faster than my mouth or my body. And I feel like my eyes see time before it's actually happening. I feel like I'm always in the next step.
See,
always.
And I'm having an awful trouble now with COVID. I am in a continual daydream. Like I have to work so hard with my readings. I focus to stay grounded and stay in. But the minute the day is done, I am in some, and I mean daydream, not like, hey, this might happen. I mean, I'm out working with people I've never met and they love me. And like these crazy, like, we need you to write for our TV show. Of course you do, because you're all in love with me. Never going to happen kind of stuff. Is that just escapism?
What do I feel about? I think that could walk a thin line of escapism, but I also truly, truly believe that you can tap into a bilayer of your current timeline, which mimics your timeline. So it's a simultaneous timeline. Just, you could merge those two things, in my opinion. We all have the power to pull in daydreams into our timeline. And some people call that manifestation, but you're literally laying the grid lines for your days for that to truly happen. And first of all, you're not far off. Everyone does love you too. Oh, you're funny as shit. I can see, like, I literally can see you writing.
I'm going to have you talk to my parents when you say that everyone loves you, and they will have some things to say. No, I'm just kidding. My parents are great. It's not, well, okay, I'm going to let you go with that. Because I think I could do that. I can't discipline myself. It's back to that having to move around. Like, I couldn't sit still. I am currently working on, which hopefully this just happened. And this is talk about timelines merging. Everybody's heard me on this podcast talk about something I would like to release as a special, which was a scary story that happened with a fairy that I made funny. And I was like, oh, it's not going to happen during COVID. And someone just called me to perform only Halloween stuff in Chicago in a club, and I'm going to try and shoot it. Hopefully it happened, but folks don't get too excited. So, but Amy, this is why I'm going to get my reading with you ASAP. It's very hard to sit still and just focus on it. I literally, on my to-do list, have 15-minute segments set out. Work on it then, work on it then, work on it then.
Yeah, I also have had to change things that I ate. I definitely had to get off of any type of stimulant because I run at such a fast pace. I don't do any coffee anymore at all. I don't do any hard type of liquor at all. I do drink wine. It's from Dry Wine Farms. I just plug them. Dry Farm Wines or something. Dry Farm Wines, something like that. It's like I plugged them wrong. I'm sure they're really proud of that, excited for that. We're really loyal clients, customers. But besides that, I try and stay, like, I had to change my diet for that. And I had to start doing different things to take care of my body in order to stay grounded, and be able to stay clear and open, because fear immediately creeps in. And plus you get dopamine dumps. I do think that there is a fear a little bit behind you sitting still. Because if you were to sit still longer than you wanted to, I'm sure within the next few moments, that pulsating fear would enter.
Yeah, I'd have to jump up and do something.
Yep. And crawl out of my skin. I have to crawl out of my skin. And usually that means you're hooked on you're getting some kind of dopamine dump. And so your biochemistry's off.
So dopamine is what makes you happy or sad?
Yeah. Happy.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like that elation feeling. Yeah. But yeah, no, I understand. You have no idea how much I understand what you mean and what you feel. And that, I mean, it does sound very tweaky, addict-y. Behavior. So, but yeah, we can 1000% work on that. But so,
okay. So and one last thing, you were 7 and you were getting amphetamines. Was that like diet pills or
not at 7? Yeah, so not at 7. I became an exercise addict first, and then it went on to full-fledged like bulimia in all form. And then it was bulimia plus any type of controlled substance that would make me be able to exercise longer or not eat. So it went down a continuum.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I went to rehab, whatever, it kind of all went away. And then I had a very, very loud, awakening into speaking to the transitioned and seeing things. And my best friend had chronic Lyme. And she was misdiagnosed with lupus and Sjogren's and fibromyalgia and MS and all kinds of stuff, like just misdiagnosed for many, many years. And finally they nailed that it was Lyme, but Lyme is a spirochete. So it's a burrowing type bug, like a parasite bacteria. So it got in her brain and she developed really bad neuropathy type of brain issues. And she was my twin flame, my best friend. Like, this girl was my favorite human. And so anyway, she was starting to get pretty sick, but she would always have, and I'm only sharing this story because I do not feel like her family is gonna hear it. And I'm trying to be as respectful as possible because her, like, she was my activator, like immediately onto my forehead, and her husband still is one of my activators. But so as she started to get sick around November of 2018, she called me, and I was driving home from teaching yoga. It was a Saturday, and she goes, "Hey, Aim, I died." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And as at this point, I was not awake at all. And so I'm just listening in my head. I'm like, "Oh my God, she's getting worse. She's getting worse." Okay. So I'm listening to her. She's like, "Listen, we can upload and download our consciousness at any point. I went to the exact same place where the people that have like Alzheimer's go. They can upload their consciousness and then they can download it, and they'll have these brief moments of lucidity, but it's so lovely." And she was explaining what it was like. She's like, all the people on machines where your biological form is still quote unquote in existence on Earth, you literally upload and download files into your body. Meanwhile, I'm like, oh, good God, here we go.
Right.
And I'm like panicking a little because I don't know what to do with any of this at the time. And she's trying to get me to understand, and I can tell she's getting frustrated that I can't. And then a few days later, so we talk. A few days later, I'm cooking in my kitchen. I'm like making something, and I turn around in my kitchen to go grab a spice, and she's standing full form in my kitchen. Meanwhile, she lives 3 states away. And I quickly turn around to this cutting board, and I'm like, great, I'm officially fucking losing it. Here we go. Here we go. This is the end. I'm done at this point. So I turn around and she's gone. And I pick up my phone and text her and if she was okay. And I didn't call. I just texted her, and I don't know why to this day, but I've worked on a lot and I've forgiven myself a lot. But she just said, "Send me love." And then a few days later after that, she decided to to exit. It was on her choice. But in the moment when her husband called to tell me that this is the situation, she again showed up in my room and downloaded everything that happened into my brain. And I saw it all go down. And then from that day on, little things started to happen. First of all, that day, that phone call was by far the most shocking phone call I've ever got. I became a raging alcoholic immediately. It was like 5 a.m.
I started. Turn it off. Yeah.
I just started chugging whatever. And for 6 months, I cried and drank, and then I went to go help plan a funeral. And it was,
and I'm so sorry. When you said she, go ahead, finish that. I'll ask after that. You were right, and I butted into a very emotional, wonderful statement, and I didn't mean to.
No. Oh my gosh. So after that, I desperately wanted to talk to her because she was my best friend. So I kept telling the universe, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I know I have this power. I'm going to do this. And I never once said I couldn't. It was an immediate, I'm doing this. I'm coming right after her. Wherever you went, I'm coming. I'm going to figure out how to stay in the third dimension and find wherever the fuck you decided to go. Here we go. And she started showing up in my house. But not only that, I would have people, I had a yoga student one time in my house because I was doing these one-on-one yoga teacher trainings. And as we were sitting there talking, I was kind of pressing his buttons as to making him dig deep into some shadow work. I was really pushing at him. And I was staring at his eyes, and off from his eyes came a second set of eyes, like something just peeled right out of him and went into my wall, the wall that joined down into my basement where my kid was playing like Madden or whatever. And so I had no idea. I immediately freaked out and I went and slammed the basement door. Like that was going to somehow protect my freaking kid from whatever just went into the damn wall. And I'm like, stay down there. And I made my yoga student leave. And I panicked. I'm like, I don't know what that is. And then it started happening quickly. But meanwhile, my yoga student's like, what's happening? What's happening? Something's coming out of me. Something is happening.
Wow.
And so from that day, all of the things are showing up. Just like, this is just one aspect. Like I will see ghosts and entities, and as they shift. They shift on what level of digging I get into a person, or what etheric level I get into seeing. The intensity of an entity will shift. So she was like, Aim, it's time. I'm going to try and help you as much as you can understand. The dimensions are stacked. Time is stacked. You can pull any information into this moment by uploading. I want to teach you how to do this.
Okay. And now I'm gonna jump back 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
When you said she downloaded everything into you right before you started drinking, did you mean she downloaded all the information she had? She was like, here it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So So now when she comes back, she's waking it up and explaining it to you. She gave you everything, and now okay. And when something came off of the yoga student, it was like his thing. He had an attachment or something weird that peeled away.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've never seen that ever before. So it was extremely scary. And I called I have my new best friend, Carrie. I called my friend and I was freaking out. I had no idea what it was. Meanwhile, I had no right to sound sane to anyone at this point because all of my friends were watching me fall, like try and put myself back together at this point. Because I was still trying to be like this great yoga teacher, whatever. Meanwhile, just drinking and numbing and crying and just complete devastation over my loss. This was like my one of my biggest heartaches I've ever experienced. And so when I then got really clean and clear in the head, it didn't stop. It only got really loud and really strong. And now I can hear usually what people are thinking. And now I've learned how to shut that off because that is traumatic when you can hear what people think about you.
Oh yeah, that can be
devastating.
That can be a lot. You know, just a podcast I've had twice. It's called Spirit Emergency, and they're studying it in Australia in a college where my friend Kylie Harris, where when you have a big bump like that or a big download, how traumatic it is that it literally can destroy your life. And then you add that to losing your friend, that's an enormous spirit emergency that you were in.
It was very, very intense. That's beautiful that they named it something. I've had a few sacred dismantlings in my life where you literally lose your identity and you just dismantle, like you have those complete destructions of what you considered your identity: home, job, money, relationship, family, whatever. But this was my second one. I had like a 3-dimensional sacred dismantling. This was my spiritual dismantling. This entire, what I thought was real. And I considered myself a quote unquote spiritual person. I was probably in that love and light group. Until I had literally my gut ripped out, my heart ripped out. Now I see things completely differently. I'm still extremely soft and gentle, and I just do naturally love easily. I'm just one of those people. But my perspective and my opinion on the spiritual realm, the afterlife, any form of religion at all is gone. Like anyone who says people that commit or that leave on their own accord this realm go to like a suffering hell type of, that's nowhere even near close to what's happening. Nowhere even near close to what happens.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, let me stop you right there, and we're going to take a break, and then that's a great topic, and it leads back to my favorite movie, and two things I think we're going to agree on. So everybody hang on. We'll be right back with Amy Spicer. Hey, everybody, let me tell you about my friend Elaine Hathaway. She's not just an incredible tarot reader. I know because I had a reading. She also does curse breaking, healing and prosperity magic, and the removal of dark entities. I had a client that was constantly being bothered by a dark entity. I sent her to Elaine, and man, she cleared that situation up right away. It was so impressive. She does so many things. Please check out her website at therisingmoon.com. There you can click on her YouTube channel and take a look at her, because you're going to feel like curse breaking and the removal of dark entities. This is a little old woman sitting in the corner of the room with a hood and a cape. No, she is the loveliest person. She does so many things other than tarot. Please check out her website at therisingmoon.com. You can also hear her October 23rd on this show at therisingmoon.com. All your paranormal and metaphysical needs will be met there. All right. So, two things. I also think that it's a lie when people say God will only send you as much as you can handle. I think that's wrong. And, my favorite movie is called What Dreams May Come. And and the woman is in hell only because she won't forgive herself, because she thinks she should have been there. And I think that's what hell is. There was a near-death experience that something was like that. The woman said she was floating through hell and she saw everyone was being tortured. No one looked up to see they could leave at any time. So it's our own minds that do that.
1000%.
Yeah. So it's suicide in most religions. Yeah. Even the ones that I consider, like, I listen to some yogis sometimes and they're like, there's a limit. You really got to pick and choose.
Yep. Absolutely. And so I also see every single person. We all have these quote unquote souls, but I consider souls vortexes. What's a vortex? A vortex takes information from one location and drops it or moves it into a completely different location. So if a soul is actually a vortex, then we are able to move any information from any other dimension into the third one. How do you get into the third realm? You need you need a vortex. Okay. And every single human is one of those. You just have to be authentic. You just literally have to tap into your own authenticity and tap into your own ability to pull it into you. It's expressed through art. It's expressed anytime you manifest anything, anytime you create anything, you're literally a vortex for higher power, higher information. So I don't believe that one, like dogmatic approaches. That's why I kind of have shifted away from the religious backing of yoga. I feel like it was a wonderful entry point, but it served me to the level it served me, and my abilities have shifted much further than what I feel like yoga could serve me.
And, this is a very weird analogy, and I went to a yoga retreat, which served me fantastically. And I'm not interested in going much further with it. And one of the things is who the enlightened people become. Like, I feel like we can all be enlightened. We can sit in enlightenment for 10 minutes, and that's great. That's enough for me. Because, part of the thing that we forget is if we're going to be in a 3D body, let's have some fun. There was this one guy talking about why you should only have one sexual partner. And I was like, let's debate this, buddy. Let's
also limit his talking.
Right.
Stop talking.
Stop talking. It's the denial. And some people can do that, and that's great. If that's your life. I knew a lady that did that, and they had fantastic sex for the rest of their lives. But some of us are wanderers. And we tend to wander. In fact, I'm starting to wonder if the polyamorous people have it right. And the only reason I'm thinking that is because I slid the settings on my dating app down to 35, and all of a sudden I'm like, well, there's a lot more than I thought. But anyways. So
there you go.
You're making me talk more, and I should be listening to you. Okay.
No.
Okay.
I love listening to you.
This is going to be a 4-hour podcast. Okay. So you're going through these awakenings, and another thing, like when you get people's thoughts, do you hear them as a voice? Because I think I get them as a feeling.
I get them as both.
Okay.
But feelings are definitely the stronger suit. Unless they are really on a labyrinth, beating themselves up about something, and they constantly like my thighs are fat, my thighs are fat, my thighs are fat. Then I'll be able to truly hear their mind. If it is constantly happening within one conversation, I'll pick it up really easily. But if it's about me, or if I can feel it in my body, that's the easier way. This sentence isn't coming out at all. I usually feel it in my body. I try to block anybody's. Yeah, I try to block anybody's mind unless they're paying me to hear it, because oh my gosh, like I one time was at a dinner with my partner's friends, and one of his wives, I could hear what she was thinking about me, and I was devastated. And I was like, from that, I just looked at him, I was like, this is either going to make me go insane, or I have to shut it off. And my team was just like, well, just shut it off. Stop being a victim. And they're like so solid in that. So I shut it off. Now I just don't pay attention to anybody. And I feel very quote unquote normal in that. So people will always, what am I thinking now? What am I thinking now?
Oh, yeah.
That thing? No.
Stop that. You feel protected. And, authenticity is a funny word, because it comes up very often in my readings when people have found their authenticity. And, like I just started with this amazing therapist that's pulling away layer after layer after layer. But authenticity is it's kind of a moving target. It's unraveling yourself, but it sounds so easy, and yet I don't think we as human beings understand how hard it is.
It's extremely hard, and authenticity is directly linked to the moving target of healing, right? So you can only heal to the level of authenticity, of authentic reality in which you're able to step into. The second you're able to step into a deeper level of your own authentic self, you move the healing target. Now you have a whole new level of healing that needs to occur. So I don't actually call myself a healer, because healing is a moving target that changes on a minute by minute basis.
Yeah.
So I call myself an activator. My goal is to, whenever I work with anyone, to activate them so they don't need healers, that they remember that they have this original blueprint list, like in them. They have these grid lines in them, that you just activate these very specific codes within you, that you just reclaim all sovereignty. You want to stop drinking? Fine. Program yourself out of it. Of course, your biological form is still going to be addicted, so you're going to have to go through withdrawal and all that stuff. But pull the program out. You want to quit falling in love with losers? Fine. Let's pull out the program as to why you need to be a savior. Like, let's just pull crap out of you. Let's recode. Let's pull out dead timelines.
So also, and this is one of the biggest hangups in my career that is on the surface right now. I'm sure when this one goes, the next one will come up. But I hate writing. I need to reprogram, and I need to stop saying I hate writing, because if I could sit down and I loved it, I would be so prolific. But I just get ugh.
Okay, I got to tell you something.
We'll do that later. Okay, go ahead.
So I feel like you're really freaking magical, and I think you're going to be able to do this on your own. So whenever I go into like my little meditation trancey thing and can pull people apart, what I have seen in very specific grids in their different etheric levels is so our ninth chakra, our eighth chakra is tied into our tongue. Our eighth chakra sits right below the heart. This is just how I see them, by the way. So in case there's like some kind of chakra specialist, listen, you just got to understand I'm one eyeballs looking at humans, and this is where I see information uploading and downloading. So give me a break. Anyway, I see a center beneath the heart center that is tied directly into the tongue. And when this thing is active, any and all vibrations that roll off your tongue then become your truth. They do become your grid lines in which you step into. Some people call this manifesting. However, manifesting in one way with an unactive eighth chakra takes a little longer. Manifesting when it's very active works faster. And what I've seen is there is something directly correlated to the rotation of the earth and how it spins around the sun. If you say a phrase, I hate writing, you continually upload this grid line in which you step onto. It's almost like laying down a golden path in front of your feet and you keep walking onto it. If you change your sentence to I hate writing today, for some reason I can't see past that grid. Like you literally end that program. And if you say it every day, obviously it's going to reprogram itself.
Got it.
But so I personally think that if you're going to shit on your abilities, add the word today. Add the word today behind all sentences. And I know that sounds crazy, but I actually see it happening in people.
You know what? Not only do I know you're right, but it's almost the same thing as like if someone was to say, yeah, I shouldn't be eating sugar. And then they go to the doctor and the doctor goes, I shouldn't eat sugar. You saying it reinforces it. And now you've given me a visual. Somebody was speaking to me. There's a sound healer and she says that she has to go above me because of the above the head chakras. Do you see above the head chakras? I've never even heard of them. And then the only thing I could find was someone calling them alien chakras.
Okay. So I definitely see, I work on a 12 chakra system. Chakras 13 through 21, I know are there, but I do not feel as though my capabilities have any, I just have no, I can't talk today. I'm having brain farts. Like I have no reason to be in the middle of your higher soul contracts that way. Like that's none of my business. I want to stay out of it.
Okay. Interesting.
So
I love that.
will mess. Yeah. It's none of my, like, who am I to do that? Like if you're in the 13 through 21 chakra system, you should be doing this work on yourself. You're way beyond needing anyone else to do anything on your behalf or for your behalf. Like you don't need a healer at that point. Or an activator at that point. So my 12 chakra system that I work on, I do see 3 that are above the head, like 7, 11, and 12. 7 is, Sahasrara. That is, your crown chakra. But 11 and 12 sit on the sides of the head, actually. And they're your masculine and feminine energy centers. So the feminine sits on the right side because the right side of the brain controls the left body. Okay. And then the masculine sits on the left brain because it controls the right side of the body, right? So the thing that I've seen about those two being aligned and balanced, when 11 and 12 are aligned and balanced, all the other energy centers seem to be aligned and balanced because we're no longer moving from an unbalanced power center. So we're no longer being overactive and taking, or we're no longer under receiving or being cared for, or, we have complete, if we are equally balanced in the masculine and feminine energy center, that works in contingency and congruence with chakra 7, our higher chakra, all the others seem to work really well. Like they don't get blocked or they don't get the entities stuck in you. You just seem to have more control of your quantum communicators, which chakras are. They are the quantum communicators. None of us need to speak English at all. We could stand in a room and the empaths or the sensitives, we would be able to immediately pick up on what another form is trying to communicate. We can literally feel if you're afraid or if you have a stomach ache or if your back hurts or your throat hurts. Like we can feel that. How do we do that? We do that through chakras. They're the ultimate quantum communicators. They span across any time, any language, any barrier. that's how I feel the subtle realm. So I feel like when people do, it is important to balance the left and the right energy center. Why not to just bring like the planet into a masculine, feminine balance, but literally to bring your astronaut suit in this third dimension into balance. This helps you feel less like a victim and more in control.
That, this is why everything happens. And I meet you now. I just had like an enormous, I almost want to say download of compassion, which I see as my female side that is shifting everything, and I'm not blaming anything, but comedy is a man's business, and that masculine side was pushed out so far. And Lacey started the change with talking to me about a sex goddess energy, and then this compassion came in, and it all switched. And what's another interesting thing that I have found this year in yoga, and then I have kind of a weird story, or not in yoga, in tarot readings, is I've been hearing myself talk, because sometimes in a really good reading I hear myself and it just keeps going, and I'm saying, and I got this far and the rest of that is none of my business. And none of my business was never in readings before, and all of a sudden it seems like there's a place where I'm almost being stopped, and it's like, no, they need to pick it up from here and figure it out.
Yes.
I had a very strange thing happen. And I'm paranormally, so I always, even talking to you, I want to ask you about attachments. But yes. So I was reading for someone, and she's probably listening. I love you, dear. And she was saying something about her husband, and her husband would drink at night, and she thought he was possessed. And I said, I don't think he's possessed. And I had an ayahuasca experience where there were three of me, three different people, and the other two didn't look like me. One was an Indian lady, and one was, I think, an African American guy. But I remember the Indian lady looking right at her, and the ayahuasca lady said, this is you. And I said, oh, this is my past lives. And she said, no, this is you now. And I said, oh, why? Because there's no time. And she just kept saying, no, this is you now, as though I'm three consciousnesses. Well, when I tapped into this woman's husband, I saw his other consciousness, and it was a magician. And he looked at me, and I was like, this consciousness knows what it's doing, and it's trying to get into your husband when he's drinking.
Yes. Yes, Karen, that's it.
So, and I was like, and then I said, pardon my language, I swear on this podcast, I said, that fucker can see me. So weeks later, my apartment is very active. There's a lot, and I can't get it out. So I call Tommy, my demonologist, and he goes, did you piss off a magician? And I was like, no, when did I? And then he had me get some star of anise, and I burnt it, and this place cleared out so fast. And then it hit me who that was. And now I can see the magician has turned his back to me. So that was just a threat. He wasn't, but isn't that like, it was so bizarre.
Yes. Yeah, that is exactly what I'm talking about. So I love the fact that I've run into a couple entities where I've tried to burn like a sage or something after, and they just laugh. They're like, really?
Yes.
Your plant? You can burn your little plant? They're like, no. So I've had to change my way of clearing them, but that is exactly what it is. That is exactly what I see. I love running into people that can make me feel normal.
Well, and that's a rarity for me. I don't know if hopefully I'm opening up to more of that, but, and also, by the way, if you're ever curious, Tommy always knows exactly what to burn, and everyone, because here's a weird thing. For some reason, there's a lot of gin around. Folks, don't play with that, and burn star of anise and clear your place. That's my public service message. Okay, go ahead.
Wait. I feel like there's a really good story there. Did you almost blow your house up with gin and star anise? Oh,
no. Gin are Middle Eastern spirits that have kind of made their way over to the United States. They're usually only in the Middle East, and they run along the same lines as fairies, kind of, where you can negotiate, but they're a little more malicious, and they're almost demons. But for some reason, America has suddenly taken a big interest in them, seems to, and I think that's what that guy sent, that was just kind of milling around. They weren't attacking me, but they don't like anise. So if folks, get a lot of incense and mix them up. So
okay, I'm writing this. How do we find Tommy? You said
yes, you can. Everybody can text me or email me, and I will contact. He's unbelievably busy. He's a TV editor, and he's the most knowledgeable person I know.
Okay,
I go to him for everything, and yeah. So go ahead.
I just started to learn to clear these things on my own, because my team kept saying you're God, sovereign, and free. You're literally the highest power. Get bigger. And so that's when I would that's what I would do when I would run into I've run into probably 13 or 14 pretty scary ones at this point. My biological form will react. Sometimes tears will come out of my eyes because they'll be in my room at this point. They'll be like physically with me. But I never back down. I've never felt more brave in my life. Nothing scares me now. Now, the things that I've seen, nothing scares me. Is the most beautiful gift I have been given, because nothing scares me now. Knock on wood. Now that I proclamated that, watch something really scary happen.
No,
so I'm
that's, well, two things about that. Cause, like I said, Tommy's a demonologist. So he has dealt with the worst, and he has always made me very cautious. But first of all, fear would be what they would attend to. And also some people just have, he said that to me before. He said, you have some powerful, somebody's watching over you. You may just have somebody watching over you that's like, and here's the other thing, you're not aggravating this. You're doing what you do. When some ghost hunters go in and start aggravating and violating, and I want to see a demon, they're asking for it as a motorcycle goes by, as I say, demon. You're not doing that. So you may just have somebody that's standing there like she's doing her job. So
yeah.
Go away.
I'm here to help free the humans. There's no way humans can reactivate the code of healing on this earth if we're all stuck in suffering. If we're all stuck in that victim suffering. And I'm not trying to placate anybody's experience, because there's been a ton of suppression, a ton of everything. I don't even need to say any of that. My role and goal is to clear humans so that they can get clarity within their mind, so that they step onto their truer path, so that they feel they can manifest and they feel like they are aligned and they do awaken up to the reason why they are here. Because we're not just here to pay taxes and support fucked up governments and stuff. So that's what I do. And I want to write a book. I want to write a book about some of the crazy entities I have run into, or the crazy contraptions about. And I would love to talk to your friend Tommy about what he sees, the things that have been, how entities get attached, but the things that they will upload into a blueprinting of a human's etheric realm, like the outer layers that then affect their biological form, is crazy. But it's all in program. So if you can, it's all in code, right? So you have to construct the code, and the code will construct a form. It sometimes will literally construct walls, or it will construct, it's just like how computers are written in code. If you want to build a wall in a computer game program, you type in this series of numbers and letters. If you want to build a moat, this is what you type in. So that code, if you can deconstruct it, you can see literally these pathways and how trauma has shifted flow of energy, processing, and decision making through a human based upon the trauma and based upon when an entity has entered because of said trauma.
It's very interesting. I think on one of my last podcasts, we were talking about what a tulpa is. And a tulpa is when enough people, like, I feel like a tulpa is black-eyed children. I've never done a show on black-eyed children because I don't think it was a thing. I think it was what they call a creepypasta. Someone made it up, and then everyone started to believe it, and it actually created that code that make that program that are now the black-eyed children.
Yeah.
So hang on one second. Oh, my God. I cannot believe we're already... All right. Hey, just hang on, folks. I'm wasting my time complaining about how fast this is going. Psychic medium and buddy of mine, Terry Huberman, is with me today. Terry, you've given me so many great readings and healings, and now you've got everything together in one package. Tell me about that.
I sure do. So this package has energy healings, readings, and coaching.
Coaching, that's the best. And people, they buy the package. You give them coaching once a week?
Yeah, so we meet online once a week, and in between, there's support as well.
And who would this be for?
This is really for folks who are in indecision, needing to get into their intuition because they're blocked or stuck. They need to move forward. And so we explore what the root causes of the problems are.
And helps them get out of their own way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Terrific. And what can they expect from this?
Sure. So moving from anxiousness to confidence, accessing their freedom, joy, and security, and really being in alignment with themselves so they have that clear direction, so they know, aha, this is what I need to do next to reach my goals.
So now there's something that's free so people can talk to you and see if this is for them.
Yeah, absolutely. On my website, terryhuberman.com, there is a page where you can click, and it's the intuitive coaching package. And there is a button there that says schedule a free call. So you go ahead, schedule it. We'll get on a call and you can learn more about this program, and we'll see if this is a good fit for you or not.
See if there's chemistry.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's an odd date.
TerryHuberman.com, TerryHuberman. I highly recommend it, folks. All right, folks, we're back. We're still laughing. So now tell me, so someone comes to you for a clearing. And by the way, don't you, I feel like I am so lucky to have that my job is comedy and tarot. It is not in an office. You guys that do that are so brave, and I feel bad because they can't go in to work and say, wow, the etheric realm is really, bananas today. Who else wants coffee, right? So you must help a lot of people like that when they don't know things that are going on and they can't call a friend and go, hey, a magician just dropped a bunch of gin in my house, right? So you must make them feel so much better. Tell me what you do or where you find your clients or what happens there.
So my clients are basically word of mouth. It just spreads like fire. It's word of mouth. Being on a few podcasts have really spread I have 3 full-time jobs.
Oh my
I own
God.
a yoga studio. Yeah. I own a yoga studio. So I'm a yoga teacher and I own a studio. I'm also pharma rep. And I sell an anti-parasitic medicine, and then I remove parasites off of people energetically in my other time. Yeah. So yeah, I do readings. Or not, I don't like to call them readings. I call them activations and clearings, and they're all different. So I have a really base, just people sign up to do a clearing. And then they'll usually start to talk, and I kind of tap into my team talks to their team, and I kind of get them an idea of what's happening. On the outside, I can never tell. Usually I've run into 2 people at this point where I could. If they have a multiple consciousness embodiment, meaning their original consciousness, the original source code consciousness, and then an alien type of consciousness, not little green men, just meaning foreign to that biological form. Once I get into them and they start opening up and we start clearing some stuff, then I can start to see. Things will then start to show up in my house. I'll be able to see into their energy centers. I'll be able to see into their timelines. From there, their team will let me move around programs that is not creating any type of spiritual bypassing. If it is one of their main lessons that they're here to learn, I'm not allowed to manipulate it at all. I can't do anything through it about it. I can just point it out. Like there is literally nothing the only thing you can do is end this crap. You have to do this all on your own. Anything that is not serving them though, that's just a distraction or it's like junk programming, I can pull that out. At that point.
So you mean, say it was like, Karen, your lesson in love is your shit. You do it. That could be, you might say that. And then you might say, hey, there's a program floating around here about you think you can't write. I got to get rid of that. Or is that right? kind of?
Yeah. So I'll basically, we'll have to, we stare down deeper into it. I'll start seeing things. I'll start seeing timelines. Like, you think you can't write. And then I'll see, like, it was because you wrote something and you got bad feedback. And then I'll see parts of you ping. I'll see like your stomach ping, your left shoulder ping, the corner of your right like eye ping. And then I'll be like, okay. Right.
You already healed me exactly this exact story. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm not lying. You already pinged me.
Sorry. So then I'll be like, okay, so I want to follow that. I want to follow that timeline. So now I can tell that it immediately took away her power. It moves through her heart meridian and it's blocking legitimately her right brain hemisphere. Okay, so how do I get this into congruence? So then your team and I will literally rewrite a program to pull that into alignment. So when you do feel like a writer, instead that it's coming from a power place, it's coming from a legitimate heart-centered place, where it's a literal offering. It goes back to the fact that you're a vortex. You have an amazing ability to see this realm with your personality. If you keep that in mind and just use your heart, whatever you create is exactly what needed to be embodied in the third dimension 2020. We just have to get your program back in alignment, because right now you're moving through, there's some fear-based stuff there, obviously, but if we can pull that into alignment and you can come to the realization that one moment in time, every time you go to write, you go back 20 years to somebody criticizing you, you recognize that you're not even here, you're not even present, you're still reliving this one moment. How do you know somebody else is going to poo-poo you? It's just all about fear and bravery and stuff like that. Other things are cording. Like, I try to if there is a cord, because we're corded to our secondary karmas, to the second chakra. Secondary karmas are like our parents, our children, right? Because they're corded into our ovaries or our testes. They're meridians there. And I should do a lot of decording so people can become autonomous. So many people have mom-dad issues. Cord cutting is not, it's like a garden hose. I explain this to lots of people. If we have our garden hose hooked up in the backyard and we need to water the flowers down the yard 500 meters away, we turn the water and we use the hose. We deliver water now 500 meters away. So now source flows to a location through a channel. So your parents, your mom has control of your grid until you do claim to be an autonomous individual. So many people are affected by their mom or dad because they still have control of grid lines within a person until they truly do pull out their own autonomy, but so many of us can't. So what I do is cord cut. That doesn't mean I can erase any emotion, erase any memory, erase any pain, erase any damage. I can't. That's not what it's doing. It's like putting a kink into the energetic flow of source into a location. So if we kink the garden hose, now water isn't getting to the flower bed. So once we cord cut, now you can clean out the mess that has been created because you and your mom are codependent or whatever. And this is the thing, is it easier for you to cut a cord than someone to cut their own cord? Yeah, because I believe people think that they can't do it, because that goes back to the idea of being sovereign. So many people are told that they're not good enough. And the whole social media thing makes truly has led people to believe that they are not as good as anyone else at all. And so who would you to be to actually believe that you are just as powerful or magical? Who are you to actually one day not talk to ghosts and then on Saturday be this person that talks to ghosts? Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. Just activate yourself. But social media is a bunch of fool. Everybody watch The Social Dilemma on Netflix. I don't like Netflix. Just watch that. Yeah. Just buy into how much you have given away your sovereignty. Giving away your sovereignty.
And that's a funny thing. And, I believe that we are all very attached to our identity or who we think we are or the victim thing. And the victim thing more than we know, because society really does reinforce that we're all victims. It really does. And to stand outside of that is hard. But it's funny. I had an awful time with those Karen videos. Somebody put my 8x10 on the front of it on a front of one that I wasn't in, and it freaked me out. And I have to tell you, I got off social media. Like now I have to remember to go check it. And it took a scare like that, probably at exactly the right time I needed it to get me to not be like, now I have to work. I got to check my Facebook page, but I do because of promo. But I think it's so funny because I know people that talk about cord cutting. I bet it's back to the doctor analogy. We think you can do it better, so it's actually reinforced when you do it.
Yeah, I want to help activate people that they know that they can reclaim, that there is nothing, while there is so much special about me, there is nothing special about me at all. Like I'm telling you right now, if I can do this, so can anyone else. I'll just teach you, and then you have to stop doubting. Like everyone has to stop doubting. I don't know.
That's a hard one. We're so hardwired and the world is so heavy right now. And I really think, talk about microdosing. I think that's undoing that. But anyways, it's just, I think microdosing mushrooms is the opposite of that. But I went way off on a thing. But it was so funny because once you said doubt, I felt that energy come out of you like, we live in doubt and fear.
Yeah. So how I work with that is you have to be the first person to catch when you are lying about yourself and lying about anything else. Why? Because you can't manifest until you start actually being truth. And you also can't manifest quickly what you want if you don't fucking believe in yourself and you're full of doubt and you lie about yourself. Why would you manifest if you don't actually believe in yourself? Also, so when I work with people about this whole truth and lie thing, catch yourself. I work with clients who are like, I'm a bad mom. Are you a bad mom? Is that truth or a lie? The second you start saying something about that, you literally out loud have to say, that's a lie, say it's antidote. I'm a great mom, probably having a bad day. That's probably true. But the faster, and here's why that came into play. The faster you can catch your lie, give its antidote, and move with it, the faster you will stand up to any and all challenges and immediately conquer it. I had a client who asked me to work with someone who was actively involved in heroin and meth, their own methadone. And I was like, they're like, I want you to pull this out of him. I think he has something on him. I want you to pull this program out of him. My gut in this moment of this request was like, I can't do that. My whole team came flying down, literally immediately. It was like, that's a lie. You can do anything. Do this now. Download. Do it now. Like open up, do it now, no doubt. And it just went from there. I was like, okay, give me 1 week. Give me 1 week. I'm going to do this.
Wow.
And because your body, you'll catch yourself. And then what else happens? Let's say Karen walks up to Amy and is like, you're a fake. And I'll be like, that's a fucking lie. That's a lie. But you know how when someone says something about you, like Karen can't write, that's a lie. Right. Karen, I bet you can write. I bet you can write. I know you can write. I hear what comes out of your mouth. There's no difference. You can write. Wow. I know you can. So nobody owns your power then. Because immediately, as soon as someone says something about you, you define it. That's a lie. That doesn't sit with me. That's not right. And tell me that.
Wow. Even if you say it in your head, even if your boss is like, you're a jerk. And in your head, you're like, nope, that's a lie.
That's a lie.
Antidote.
That's a lie. I'm not a jerk. Yeah.
Wow.
It's not even I'm awesome. It's not fake light and love stuff.
Right.
I'm talking about truth. Like if this is true, this is truth. This is not fake light and love. Because if you're a dick and you truly are a dick, you got to be like, oh my God, I'm a dick. I've got some work to do. I'm not saying fake it, because then that in itself is a lie.
Right.
You're never manifesting if you continue to lie to yourself. Also, you're not manifesting until you step out of that victimization energy.
You know, that's so funny. I actually fantasize about a man that literally can call me on my shit, where I'll be like, don't see through me. I just have to tell you, I made a note here. You should make T-shirts that say, I got pinged by Amy Spicer.
Oh, really?
Because you
That's
keep,
awesome.
I was like, I love that pinged. I love that you keep saying, wow. So that's everyone. So this person had the addiction, and then your guides were like, no, you got this, and you went to work on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
of course, it's the person's responsibility to stay in that space, right? Or they can bring that program back.
You absolutely can rewrite any program you want to. Absolutely at any time. But I'm not sure how this gentleman is doing. His sister for weeks after was like, that worked. And my kid was like, "What? We're going to be the face of sobriety." And I was like, "Wait, we got to let's see if it works past 2 weeks, kid."
Right. Right. Well, but you gave him the start that he needed.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. I think the fact that he was even brave enough to be like, okay, let's give this crazy person a try was incredible. And I commend his bravery completely. So,
right. That is, that really is the, people underestimate their bravery. And sometimes when they've had trauma, I first of all point out, do you understand how brave it was that you went through that? It's not about, it's not always about being a soldier and walking into a battle. My favorite scene ever in a TV show came from Married with Children. And I know I had been on this road trip that went on forever. And I think I had a nervous breakdown, and I came home, and my landlord had moved out. I was living above him. There was no electricity and no hot water. And there was no place to land, and my neighbors hooked me up. We had a cord going all the way down the street, and this show comes on, and it's this episode where what's his name? Ed? Was it Al?
Yeah.
Al, they had found a library book he took when he was a kid. It was 100 years overdue, and he had the librarian, and she had always told him he was a loser, and now he had to bring it back, and she catches him.
I remember this.
Yes, and she goes... And he returns the book and writes the check. He gives in, and she goes, "Now I can retire, because I just wanted to tell you, you always were a loser." And he looks at her and he makes some joke. "I have this awful wife." And then he goes, "But the fact that I haven't put a gun in my mouth and pulled the trigger makes me a winner." And tears are coming down my eyes. Like, that's it. I didn't pull the trigger. I'm a winner, I thought that was one of the greatest. I just love that moment. It still gives me chills.
Yes.
I'm way off topic, aren't I?
No, I love it. I love it. I'm just thinking about how Peg and Al Bundy dropped some beautiful messages in the Married with Children series.
a few are good ones. Yes. So you give these clearings. So you do run into entities with people, and they do show up, and you do see them.
Yep.
Now, do you think they are outside entities or pieces of these people?
So I don't call people pieces of people. I just call them, I would say that they are fragmented energies. If they're pieces of them, It's usually fragmented energy is how I would see it. Entities are non-them. They clearly represent that they're there for parasitic reasons. Sometimes it's symbiotic. Because to be around in the third dimension, you obviously have to have this meat suit. And if an entity can provide a backup support for a human, like, why wouldn't it stay? For example, anytime anyone wants to talk about your failed relationships, you get all of a sudden very, very tired. You become perfect food for an outside energy to eat the fact that you don't want to deal with this. So you're going to bust out all of your energy. You're just going to let it go. Because some people shut down. They'll literally get tired and try and start to fall asleep in the middle of a conversation if they want to avoid a topic so much.
Wow.
So I see how, when someone starts to talk about something that you don't want to talk about, you get a little antsy, you get a little, these people, instead of getting antsy, will go right to sleep. So where does that energy go? Because biologically speaking, that would create anxiety, which stimulates the cardiovascular system, which actually makes people awake. So where does that go? Where do they go? Then I'm sure psychiatrists will be like, oh, it's a defense mechanism. I'm sure in some people they have built that up. What I have seen, though, is not always a human defense mechanism. It is legitimately a vortex that leaks energy to feed something outside of a human.
Wow.
The scary ones, I have a crazy story I can tell you sometime about this. The scariest first entity that I've ever seen was not the client who called me. She called me just to do clearing, but then started to talk about her boyfriend. And as soon as she started to talk about her boyfriend, this thing that must be on the boyfriend came flying into my room. It was the scariest looking thing I've ever seen. And it would stand at one end of my hallway and run right up against my face and just like breathe on me, and then turn around and run down my hallway and sprint at me. And this thing was horrifying, and it's on him. Had nothing to do with her. And there's a huge backstory to that, and a huge follow-up story to that will blow your mind. And she's a really active member in this soberish community, and it's amazing. But I do see things that are not of this realm.
You can't tell it on the air kind of thing?
Yeah, I can. I can. She's like given me total permission, but this entity is fully.
Oh, you don't want to drag it back in?
No. It's already come back. I'll tell you, that's the follow up. This entity is fully in control of the individual that it was in. And I have never told anybody ever not to be in a relationship or not to be involved with someone. This was the first time ever. I was like, you cannot be with this person. You are in complete danger. Like that guy is gone. That guy's gone. Yeah. And anyway, so things got really bad. But one day I was driving down 95 outside Philly where I live, and I was in the inner lane right beside a concrete barrier, and I'm driving this highway into Center City, and the entity showed up outside my driver's window, just smiling and laughing, and then showed up in my seat beside me. I start crying. I grab my phone and quickly start texting this girl. I'm like, it's here. He's coming. I'm like, he's coming. Lock your windows and your doors. Like right now, he's coming. And she texts me back. She's like, he just showed up. How did you know? I'm like, it's sitting in my car. I know he's there. And then so much more crap has happened after that. I haven't seen it since. But I'm not afraid. I get afraid for a second or two, but then I get really big. Mm-hmm. But I've seen some horrifying ones. That entity though is purposely here to permanently harm that person. Wow. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I may have you back to talk about that sometime, but I know we kind of have to limit these conversations.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it'll show up like, hey, guess who likes the attention? Weird quick change of topic as we're over time a little bit.
Yeah.
For people right now, I know some people that are being abducted, not in the good way, and they're being activated by aliens. Do you have any insight, anything about that going on that you understand or see or can help with?
So the only insight that I have to offer of that has been from my team. And I've been asking why people are getting abducted, and their answer, because I'm like, we're such a rudimentary planet. Like we kind of are.
Right.
And they're like, they're not trying to learn about how to make a human. They're trying to learn how to make a soul. They're like, they don't know how do you implant anything into the third dimension is through a soul. You're a vortex aim. They're trying to figure out how souls are created, not a human. You can replicate a human now. Like you guys know how to do that. They're trying to figure out how you are able to download and upload consciousness into this specific realm.
That makes sense to me in the way that two things. they don't understand. They don't seem to understand, or even Travis Walton, who had the one of the biggest, most famous. He, as awful as it was, he said, "I didn't feel like they were trying to hurt me or torture me. It was like a kitten at the vet. They are doing something, but you can't explain that to a kitten." But that, I was always taught that no matter through what dimensions, we have that connection to whatever you want to call God or source, and they don't. And so when we talk about AI, computers talking to computers, making their own language, cutting us out, that's intelligence. That's not a soul.
Yes, exactly. And we're talking, aliens are of a different collective. So we're in the human collective in the 12th dimensional system, right? We're just one collective. In the human collective, soul has an infinite power behind it. So we're a power source. And so that's all the further that I've got. Souls are a very strong power source that is somehow linked to the sun in this galaxy. Like the sun and the soul, they're somehow linked. The sun does something that allows the soul to up and download dimensional energy. Wow. Humans are just vortexes.
Holy cow. I cannot believe time is up.
This has been fun. We should go on a paranormal investigation together.
Oh my God, we should do anything together. I adore you. I love you. I could listen to you forever. I should have shut up during the interview, but
no.
Oh my God, so much, Amy Spicer. What a day. my mind is blown, and I'm looking for lies everywhere, and I'm deflecting them. Okay, so please come back soon, first of all.
Yeah.
And
I'm honored. I'm honored you actually wanted to talk to me. Karenrontowski wanted to talk to me.
Too much. But I'm not going to say it's a lie because it's a good program to have inserted, right?
Yes.
Okay, so everyone now that's on the edge of seat waiting for your clearing, I'm going to give you the website, which is obviously in the notes, VIRASHANTI, Virashanti?
Virashanti. Yeah, Shanti means peace.
Okay.
And Vira means infinite power. So it's infinite power of peace. Virashanti.com.
Okay. And also Instagram at A Laughing Spice.
Yeah.
And
I know.
You are a laughing. Oh, my dear, my angel. I am so glad this happened. And if November is as bad as it seems like it's going to be, this is a beautiful thing for people to hear.
Thank you. You made my whole month. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. I will have already had my clearing by now, but everybody get a hold of Amy. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Mike at Uno Rising Media. Everybody, thanks for listening. I want to say if you can give me a 5-star review, but it seems so trivial after that conversation we just had.
No, you deserve that. You deserve that. That's the truth. You deserve a 5-star review.
I deserve a 5-star review. Everybody, it's November. Take care. We'll see you next week.